Umahi's son wins as APC sweeps Ebonyi. What does this election really mean? Background. The August 22, 2026 Ebonyi State Local Government election has produced a striking political outcome. The All Progressives Congress, APC, won all 13 chairmanship and 171 councillorship seats contested. Among the chairman-elect is Osborn Umahi, son of Works Minister and former Ebonyi Governor David Umahi, who won the Ohauzara chairmanship. The results were announced on Sunday by the chairman of the Ebonyi State Independent Electoral Commission, Patrick Enyi, in Abakaliki. This is more than a list of winners. It raises important questions about political dominance, family political influence, the competitiveness of local elections and what control of the grassroots could mean ahead of 2027. 5 things to learn. 1. APC has demonstrated extraordinary grassroots dominance. Winning all 13 chairmanship and 171 councillorship positions gives APC an almost complete political hold over Ebonyi's local government structures. Critical point. Such a sweep can demonstrate strong popularity, but it can also raise questions about how competitive the election really was. Democracy is strongest when voters have meaningful alternatives. 2. Osborn Umahi's victory extends the Umahi political influence. Osborn Umahi's victory in Ohauzara places the minister's son directly into local government leadership. He had earlier purchased the APC chairmanship form for 30 million nairas, a figure that itself generated criticism over the cost of political participation. His victory therefore represents not just a personal political achievement but another significant step in the Umahi family's political influence. 3. The election raises the old question of political dynasty. Osborn campaigned on youth empowerment and promised to continue his father's infrastructure legacy. There are 2 ways to interpret this. Supporters may see it as experience, political mentorship and continuity. Critics may see it as evidence that political opportunities are becoming easier for those from powerful political families. The objective test should therefore be simple. Can he deliver better governance for Ohauzara? 4. Local government control is politically strategic. Winning council leadership across Ebonyi gives APC enormous influence at the grassroots, where political mobilization, community engagement and local development actually happen. This could strengthen the party's organizational machinery heading toward 2027, although it would be premature to automatically translate local election results into predictions about future state or national elections. 5. The real victory will be measured after the celebration. The most important question now is not who won. It is what will the winners do with power. Osborn Umahi and the other 12 chairmen-elect will face expectations over roads, healthcare, education, sanitation, employment, rural development and accountability. And for the electoral system, the responsibility does not end with announcing results. The credibility of the process, transparency of governance and the ability of opposition parties to compete meaningfully are equally important to the health of democracy. Akayi News Verdict. The Ebonyi election has produced a powerful political message. APC controls the grassroots, and the Umahi family remains politically influential. But electoral victory is only the beginning. The real test is whether this new chairman will transform political dominance into measurable development and accountable local government. The question Nigerians should now ask is, will Ebonyi's unprecedented APC sweep produce unprecedented development, or simply unprecedented political control? For more on this update, please visit www.akainews.org. Osun after the election. Why is Adeleke calling for peace now? 5 lessons Nigerians must learn. Background. Just 8 days after the August 15, 2026 Osun governorship election, the Osun state government has called for reconciliation and warned against actions capable of triggering fresh violence. The statement was issued on Sunday, August 23rd, by the Commissioner for Information and Public Enlightenment, Kolapo Alimi, amid reports of possible renewed crisis in parts of the state. The government also urged security agencies to restore law and order. This is significant because an election is not truly successful simply because a winner is declared. The real test is whether political disagreements can end without destroying relationships, lives, and property. 5 things to learn. 1. Winning an election should not mean creating permanent enemies. The government is asking political actors and residents to move from confrontation to reconciliation. This is an important message because political competition should end at the ballot box, not become a reason for violence afterwards. 2. The warning suggests that the election aftermath remains fragile. The government specifically referred to reports of possible fresh crisis and urged security agencies to act. That means the authorities believe the situation requires attention rather than assuming everything is automatically peaceful after the election. 3. Political leaders have a bigger responsibility than ordinary citizens. Governor Ademola Adeleke, opposition leaders and other political actors must discourage supporters from revenge, intimidation and attacks. Leaders who benefit politically from heated rhetoric must also accept responsibility for calming tensions afterwards. 4. Security agencies must protect everyone, not political interests. The government's call for security agencies to restore law and order is crucial. Security must be impartial. Supporters of the ruling party, opposition parties and ordinary residents all deserve protection. Any selective enforcement can deepen distrust. 5. Reconciliation must go beyond political statements. This is where objective criticism is necessary. Saying, "Let us reconcile," is good, but reconciliation requires action. Protecting opponents, investigating violence, compensating victims where appropriate, prosecuting genuine offenders and ensuring that political disagreements can be settled legally. Akai News verdict. Osun does not need another political battle after the ballot. It needs healing. The biggest lesson from this election is that political victory is temporary, but the consequences of violence can last for generations. So the question is not simply, who won Osun? The bigger question is, can Osun's politicians disagree politically without destroying the peace of the people they claim to represent? For more on this update, please visit www.akainews.org. 2027 begins early. Why did APC chairman meet Tinubu's city boys? 5 things to know. Background. The 2027 political battle is already moving beyond party offices and into grassroots mobilization. On Saturday, August 22, 2026, APC National Chairman Professor Nentawe Iwota met with the City Boys Movement, a support group backing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's 2027 re-election bid. The meeting was part of preparations for the 2027 general elections. The bigger story is not simply that the APC chairman met a support group. It is what this tells us about how early the ruling party is organizing for 2027, and how important youth and grassroots networks could become. 5 things to learn. 1. APC is already building its 2027 machinery. Yewata's meeting shows that the APC is not waiting for the election year before organizing. The party is engaging support groups and networks that can potentially translate political support into grassroots mobilization. 2. The City Boys movement wants to become a grassroots political force. The movement is not a political party, it describes itself as a support group for Tinubu and the APC. Earlier efforts included plans to build structures across polling units and mobilize thousands of volunteers. That is significant because Nigerian elections are ultimately won at the polling unit level, not merely through social media popularity. 3. Youth mobilization could become a major weapon in 2027. The involvement of a youth-oriented movement suggests the APC understands that young Nigerians are too important to ignore. But there is a major test. Can mobilization translate into genuine political engagement, or will it simply become another mechanism for campaign propaganda? 4. The meeting benefits both sides. For Yewata and the APC, support groups can expand the party's reach without relying entirely on traditional party structures. For the City Boys movement, access to the APC national leadership gives it greater political visibility and legitimacy. But there is also a danger. Support groups must not replace independent citizens with unquestioning political followers. 5. 2027 will be about organization, not just popularity. This is perhaps the biggest lesson. Opposition groups may have prominent personalities and online momentum, but the APC is demonstrating that elections require organization, voter contact, polling unit structures, and sustained mobilization. The real question is whether these structures will produce genuine voter support when Nigerians finally enter the polling booths. Akayi News Verdict. The meeting between Nentawe Yewata and the City Boys movement may look like an ordinary political engagement, but it is an early signal that the 2027 election battle has already begun at the grassroots. However, Nigerians should judge every political movement by more than mobilization numbers. The ultimate question is, will these political structures convince Nigerians with policies and performance, or merely mobilize them with political loyalty? For more on this update, please visit www.akainews.org. Abuja submerged. Is flooding exposing the failure of Abuja's master plan? 5 lessons. Powerful background. Abuja is Nigeria's capital and was deliberately designed as a modern, planned city. Yet after heavy rainfall, parts of the Federal Capital Territory have been overwhelmed by floodwater, with homes, roads, vehicles and businesses affected. Vanguard reports that residents described the latest flooding as something they had not seen before. The issue is therefore bigger than one night of heavy rain. Is Abuja simply experiencing extreme rainfall, or are poor drainage, rapid urbanization, blocked waterways and violations of the original master plan making the flooding worse? 5 things to learn. 1. Heavy rainfall may be the trigger, but it may not be the whole problem. Recent flooding has affected areas including Maitama, Asokoro, Wuse, Utako, Gudu, Katampe, Lube, and Gadoa Durumi. NISA says inadequate drainage, obstructed waterways, rapid urbanization and development around flood-prone areas can worsen flooding. 2. Abuja's master plan is facing a serious test. Human rights lawyer Deji Adeyanju has urged President Bola Tinubu to intervene, arguing that green areas, drainage corridors, canals and waterways meant to protect Abuja are increasingly threatened by development. The critical question is, who approved these developments, and were planning regulations properly enforced? 3. The human and economic cost can be enormous. In one reported incident around Gudu, about 74 vehicles were submerged, although no death was recorded. In Butako, resident Theo Agada said his vehicle was submerged and described the experience as nearly fatal. Flooding therefore isn't merely an environmental problem, it threatens lives, homes, businesses, transportation and property. 4. Government must move from emergency response to prevention. NISHA's Director General, Umar Mohammed, has recommended measures including improved drainage, channelization, bridges and stronger protection of natural waterways. This is where government accountability matters. Clearing drains after flooding is not enough. Authorities must prevent dangerous development and maintain the infrastructure before the next rainfall. 5. Citizens also have responsibilities. Government cannot solve the problem alone. Residents must stop dumping refuse into drainage channels, avoid building on floodplains and take official flood warnings seriously. NISA had already issued a flood risk warning covering August 19 to 25, 2026. Akayi News Verdict. The Abuja flooding should be treated as a warning, not merely a weather event. If a city designed with drainage corridors, waterways and planned green spaces can repeatedly become submerged, Nigeria must ask uncomfortable questions about urban planning, enforcement, infrastructure and accountability. The biggest question is this: is Abuja being defeated by nature, or by the way humans have developed Abuja? For more on this update, please visit www.akahinews.org. By Joseph Iyaji, Akahi News.